What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the Cup Series race at Kentucky on Sunday. This race is going to be a little different than we've seen in the past. Usually it's raced at nighttime, but this week it's during the day. It's a big weekend of racing. We got 4 races this weekend. This is the last one. If you want to check out my Xfinity Series race for Friday, if you're watching this on Friday, I'll put that up in the corner for you guys. And if you also want to watch my Truck Series race, that's on Saturday, or Truck Series breakdown, that's on Saturday, I'll put that up there for you today. But today I'm here to break down the DraftKings and FanDuel slate for the NASCAR race. I'm kind of excited for this race. The Xfinity race last night was pretty good, so hopefully all 4 of these races end up being pretty solid. Hopefully you'll get a chance to watch this one. I think there's a lot of really interesting plays here. There's going to be some chalky plays. There's going to be some guys that are going to be lower owned, I think, have some very good value on this slate. Before we get into it, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. All those things really help me out. Leave a comment. Tell me how I'm doing. Turn on notification bell. All those things really help me out. Help me grow this channel even more. I'm going to be here doing basketball and football when those sports start back up. NBA is less than a month. I can't wait. I'm really excited to start playing DFS for that again and get out some content for you guys daily. Also, NFL season, I'll be getting content out also for you daily. Biggest time of the year in sports. Hopefully college football and college basketball happen this year, and we can get out some content for those as well. So if you're into more than NASCAR, you should stick around. I make content for all those sports as well. If you want more of my content than just my YouTube videos, you should subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put that link in the description below. You're going to get my spreadsheet for all 3 series, Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series. Comes with this spreadsheet, which has a bunch of stats for drivers, averages, and everything. You also have team stuff, then we have stuff for day and night, and the stuff just based on this year, which I'm going to add in some more stuff later, along with everything ranked. And then you get what you need to pay off for their salary on DraftKings and FanDuel, and it comes with projections, as well as you will get my articles. You'll get my rankings and tiers, my cash core 4, and my GBP exposures for every single race. So it's really not a lot. $10 a month for all of that for all 3 series is pretty cheap in my opinion. So yeah, that's really all I got on that matter. Oh, if you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter's at DFSNateLane, and my Instagram's at @NateLane_. I talk about a lot of sports on those. Really like engaging with people over there. I just like talk about sports, like talk about DraftKings, DFS, and just sports in general. So if you want to come over there and give me a follow on that, that'll be very helpful to help me continue to grow. All right, so let's get into driver by driver. The most expensive driver, finally. It's finally not Christopher Bell this week. It's finally Kevin Harvick, and he starts 3rd. I was honestly shocked to see him priced up this high, but he deserves to be priced this high. I mean, he's just been the best driver this year, led the most laps. He just dominated everything. He starts 3rd. Kentucky, his rankings aren't as great. He has the 13th best average finish here, which isn't great over the last 2 years, but at the intermediate tracks, he has the best average finish. At the large oval, he has the best average finish. He has the 3rd best average position at Kentucky, the best average position at intermediates, and the best at large ovals. When it comes to lap sled, he has not led a lap at Kentucky, but he has 2,711 lap sled at intermediates and 1,461 lap sled at large ovals over the last 2 years. And I mean, it just blows everybody else out of the water, man. I mean, it's just at those 2 types of tracks, Kentucky is one of them. So I think Harvick should be a favorite going in, just as how well he's drove this year. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 4.75, an average position of 8.2, and 96 laps led in the last 5 races for Kevin Harvick. So he's just been great. One at Indianapolis, one at Pocono. So everything that Harvick's been doing has just been clicking for him, and I don't expect that to change. Even if you go on to this year's average finish at intermediate tracks, his average finish of 5.5, and at the large ovals, he has an average finish of 6.25. So those are both very high. Not quite the highest in the field, but I mean, he's just been so good, and he starts 3rd. I don't see a problem with him getting to the lead early. I mean, maybe he won't lead the first few laps, but I expect Harvick to be up there very, very quickly. The car, he's just been so fast this year. I just don't see any reason why it's going to change this week. Up next, starting 34th, Christopher Bell, 11,200. Yeah, he's still expensive. Every week, it's the same thing. I say, yeah, Christopher Bell, not a guy I'm really interested to play this week. He's too expensive, and he needs to get a top 5 to pay it off, and he keeps getting top 5s. Or, well, he didn't get a top 5 at Pocono, but everyone else wrecked, and he finished in the top 10, so then he was great. So if you want to play Christopher Bell, play Christopher Bell. I'm still going to go with the same route, and I'm probably not going to play him just because at the intermediate tracks, I know it's a very small sample size for him. He does only have the 20th best average finish and the 18th best average finish at large ovals and 20th best average position and 17th average position at those two tracks as well. So I'm just not really interested in him. I mean, still, in my opinion, you want the guy to lead laps unless he's going to get top 5. And I just don't bank on Christopher Bell getting another top 5, man. I just don't see it. In the last 5 races, he's an average finish of 13 and average position at 18.25. So those are all good and everything. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm just not. Christopher Bell for me is just not what I'm really looking for here. If you want to play him, I think he's safe. I think he's fine. He's probably okay in cash. He's okay. I mean, he has upside. It's just, I really don't expect him to hit that upside 3 times in a row starting in the back like that. I just don't. I mean, I'm not going to say don't play him. I'm just not going to play him. At that price, I'd rather just play Harvick for 400 more or Hamlin for 300 less. So next we have Denny Hamlin starting 12th at 10,900 on DraftKings and 13,800 on FanDuel. Hamlin, again, this is a track that really hasn't been great for him. And honestly, the 1.5s and intermediate tracks as a whole have never necessarily been his strength. But he has an average finish of 10.5 in Kentucky, which ranks 9th, and average finish of, or the 6th best average finish at intermediate tracks. He has the 6th best average finish at the large ovals. He has the 11th best average position at Kentucky, 9th best at intermediates, and 10th best at large ovals. So it's not like it's been great for him. But the thing with Hamlin is just been so good this year. Even the lap sled, only 826, which, I mean, I say only, that's like 4th most, 5th most in the field at intermediates. But this year he's just been so good, especially as of late. Average finish is 7, average position of 9. Should have won. He should have won at Indy last week. He won one of the Poconos. He was in first place with like 7 laps ago, and he had a right front tire go down, hit the wall really hard. Race is over. That was a shame. Killed my lineups, but everything killed my lineups in that race. Every wreck just was just a disaster. But Denny Hamlin at 10,900, he's fine. I'd rather play Harvick. I think I'd rather even play like Chase Elliott, just because, I mean, Hamlin does have the place differential upside starting 12th, so that's good. But like, I mean, Dominator, yeah, he's been so fast this year. He's led a bunch of laps. Hold on, let me go look at how many laps led he has in the last 5 races. He has 215 laps led in the last 5 races, which is tied for second which is second behind Logano, which honestly is surprising that Logano is the most laps led. Just don't feel like but whatever. Hamlin, I mean, he's just been good. It's just, this isn't like this type of track. The 1.5s as a whole haven't been the best for him, but he's just been so good. You can't just like fully fade him, and he has place differential upside. I could see, I mean, he's probably going to finish inside the top 5 in this race, but I don't know if I necessarily think he's going to be a huge dominator or anything. But, I mean, I'm not fading Hamlin by any means. He's someone you can't get away from right now. You just have to. Him and Harvick, you just kind of have to play. Next, we have Chase Elliott starting 8th place, 10,500 on DraftKings. Again, this is a track that has not been kind to Chase Elliott. Average finish of 14th in the last 2 years. But he does have a 7th best average finish at intermediates and the 10th best at large ovals. He has the 13th best average finish at average position at Kentucky, 8th best at intermediates, and 8th best at large ovals. 0 laps led at Kentucky in the last 5 years, 550 laps led at intermediates, 268 at the large ovals. But the thing for me about Chase Elliott is just how good he's been at the 1.5 at the intermediate and large ovals this year. Chase Elliott is having, like, I mean, he's been really good in the past, but like, this is his year. He's just having himself a year right now. And at the intermediate, and pretty much all his stats at just about every track have been better this year than they have in the past. But at the intermediate tracks, Chase Elliott has an average finish of 2.83 this year. That's minus Vegas I took out because he wrecked, but he was like going to win that race. And then at the large ovals, he has an average finish of 3.75. So he has the best average finish at intermediates this year, and he has the third best average finish at large ovals this year. So he's just been great. Lights out for Ryan Blaney. I'm sorry, Chase Elliott. Jeez. But yeah, Chase Elliott looks really good here. Starts 8th place. I think he could be a dominator just because how fast he's been. Definitely someone I want to play this week. He's not he's still in the 10K range, but he's not like the most. For weeks he's been like the most expensive dominator play, and he's not anymore, which is good. But I think Elliott's a good play here. I'm definitely want my fair share of Elliott. I think he's a good choice to win the race, in all honesty. But I don't know if I'd say he's probably. I mean, I guess Harvick is more likely, especially because of the starting spot. Like Chase Elliott starts 8th, which is a good spot. But I think Harvick could get out to the lead early because I just think he's going to pass Kyle Busch. We're going to talk about now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Kyle Busch on the pole. I don't know if I want to play Kyle Busch on the pole this week. I think everyone's going to be like, this is going to be the week Kyle Busch breaks out. I don't think it is. He hasn't. He's 10,100 on DraftKings. He has the best average finish at Kentucky over the last 2 years. The best average, or the second best at intermediates and the second best at large ovals. The best average position at Kentucky. The fourth best at intermediates and the second best at large ovals. Laps led, 72 laps led at Kentucky over the last 2 years, which is the second most, third most. 1,400. No. Yeah, 1,400 laps led at intermediate tracks over the last 2 years and 1,025 at large ovals. So he's just been so great, but this year he's been trash. I mean, he hasn't been trash. He just hasn't been Kyle Busch. He has an average finish of 9 in the last 5 races. He has an average position of 11.75 in the last 5 races, but he only has 4 laps led in the last 5 races. Those are all at Pocono, I'm pretty sure. And it's just like, well, that's the problem. Like, I know he starts on a pole, and I know clean air is such a big deal, but in all honesty, Harvick's right behind him. I think Harvick should be able to get past him in a few laps just because how much faster his car's been. And even Logano maybe be able to get around him pretty quickly. I just don't see Kyle Busch being able to dominate this race. And I think people are going to go to him this week. It's going to be like, oh, he's on the pole. This is going to be the week. He's going to break out. But is it like what's different this week than the other weeks? He's starting on the pole. That's it. Like, he still doesn't have practice, which is what he needs to be fast. That hasn't changed. And it's just none of the races outside of Pocono where the day before he had a entire race at the track with the same exact car to get it figured out for. That's the only race he looked good in. He has not looked fast. He's just, I mean, he'll probably finish inside the top 10, but starting on the pole, I just don't really want him. And I'm honestly leaning more towards fading Kyle Busch. And if it comes back to bite me, it comes back to bite me. But I like the upside more for guys like Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, Logano, all those guys instead of Kyle Busch. The one thing I will say is going good for Kyle Busch is he does have the best average finish at the large oval tracks this year, but he's still not leading the laps, and that's what we want. So next we have Ryan Blaney at 9,800 on DraftKings, 11,000 on FanDuel. Starts 11th. This is a great play in my opinion. I think Ryan Blaney. I'm interested to see where his ownership comes in because I think he's such a great play. He has the 4th best average finish at Kentucky. He has the 10th best average finish at intermediates, 9th best at large ovals, his 7th best average position at Kentucky, 7th best at intermediates, and 6th best at large ovals. And like Chase Elliott this year, Ryan Blaney is another driver who has been just basically been better this year than he has in the past, and is getting better, has better numbers at just about every single track. He's been leading laps, he's been doing everything. And at the 1.5s this year, or intermediates this year, he has an average finish of 4 and at the large ovals average finish of 3.3. So, second best average finish of the large ovals and the second best at the intermediates. So Ryan Blaney, I mean, there was a string of races where he's like in the top 3 or 4 like every single race. It was like both the Charlotte races. There was one other one after that. And he was just like on fire. He was just doing really. He's been racing really well this year. In the last 5 races, Ryan Blaney's average finish is 9.75. But we've been going to tracks that Ryan Blaney's really not that good at, Pocono and Indianapolis, where tracks where Ryan Blaney has never really excelled. He still does have 125 laps led in the last 5 races. The whole Penske teams look pretty fast this year. I really like Ryan Blaney. I don't know if he's going to lead laps, but he does have a lot of place differential upside, and he does have lap led upside too. And I would not be surprised to see him finish winning. Honestly, he could win this race. I wouldn't be shocked. Next, we have Joey Logano starting second at 9,600. See, this is the thing here. I'm really interested to see how. So in the Xfinity Series race last night, I noticed that. Well, I mean, it wasn't hard to notice. The top lane was like just so much better. Like if you started on the bottom lane on the restarts, you were getting shuffled back. It's just you weren't going to be able to do anything about it. So I don't know how that. I don't know. That could also. It was a night race, or this is going to be a day race, so that could be a little bit different. So I don't know how that's really going to work, but Logano starting second could get the lead away from Kyle Busch on the first lap. But I think Harvick's going to pass him both anyway. But just in case he doesn't, I think Logano's a fine play. And I just don't think people are going to want to play him because I think most people are going to, in their mind, think, this is how most people are going to think, oh, Kyle Busch is either going to get out to the big lead or Kevin Harvick's going to pass them both and get out to the big lead. I don't think anyone's saying Logano. So I think Logano might actually end up being a sneaky play who could lead a bunch of laps. And if you recall Kentucky last year, Logano would have won that race. He was out front at the end, and there's a late caution. He blew the restart, and Kurt Busch won. But Logano was really good at that. He's been very good here. He does have the 5th best average finish at Kentucky, the 5th best at intermediates, and the 8th best at large ovals, the 5th best average position at Kentucky, 3rd best at intermediates, and 3rd best at large ovals. When it comes to laps led, Logano has 24 laps led here, 1,026 at intermediates, and 542 at the large ovals. So he's been very good. And in the last 5 races, Logano's been kind of struggling, had some bad luck and some wrecks. But again, we were going to tracks where Logano wasn't that good at. It's almost like those Pocono and Pocono doubleheader and Indianapolis are very similar. And like, if you're not like, it's just they're tracks where drivers who aren't good there aren't good there. So I mean, it's just been a problem. But Logano does have 286 laps led in the last 5 races, so that's huge. I think Logano's good here, good for a good run here. I mean, we went to Vegas. He led a bunch of laps there. Let's look at his numbers for the intermediates and large ovals on the year. He has an average finish at 8.5 to intermediate. No, that's day and night stats. Hold on. He has an average finish of 7th to intermediates and an average finish of 10.25 to the large ovals. So it's been good, not great. But I think Logano has a ton of lap upside. Penske's been really fast this year. I think it's worth playing some Logano. I wouldn't play him as much as someone like Harvick, but I think it's a fine play. Next, we have Clint Boyer at 9,400 on DraftKings, 10,200 on FanDuel, starting 15th. Boyer's an interesting one. Here's where we start getting into the guys who I think are going to be lower owned. But I just think Clint Boyer might be a little too expensive for me, especially when like Truex is only 9,200. I mean, he has the 6th best average finish at Kentucky, the 12th best at intermediates, the 11th best at large ovals. He has the 8th best average position at Kentucky, 11th best at intermediates, and 14th best at large ovals. So, I mean, that's just kind of where I expect Clint Boyer to finish. It's somewhere between like 8 and 15. And that's just not what we need at that price tag. I just don't expect him to like really destroy that salary. In his last 5 races, an average finish of 11.8 and average position of 12.8. So Clint Boyer is just not really like one of my favorite plays here. Martin Truex Jr. is interesting at 9,200 though. He's really cheap, and I'm a little surprised of how cheap he is. Him and Keselowski are just both way too cheap. Truex has the 7th best average finish at Kentucky, 3rd best at the intermediates, and 3rd best at large ovals. 3rd best average position at Kentucky, 2nd best at intermediates, and 4th best at large ovals. When it comes to laps led though, Truex has the most laps led in the field at Kentucky at 174. So he has been very good here. He's been able to show that he can lead a bunch of laps and contend for a win. He just hasn't been able to pull it off yet. And in the last 5 races, Truex has an average finish of 7.25 and an average position of 8.75 and 151 laps, so which I believe is the 3rd most in the field. Yes, it is. Last week in Indianapolis, he had a problem at the beginning, and I got caught up in that stupid pit road crash that just started the crap of my day. Yeah, so I think Truex is fine. He's been running well this year. Not great, but he totally has like potential to be a dominator here. I wouldn't call him more likely. I mean, Harvick, Hamlin, even Kyle Busch, I think Blaney and Logano are all more likely to like be a dominator this race than Truex, but I think he has the upside. I don't know how highly owned he's going to be, although he is cheap, so people might go for him, but he starts 9th too, so there is some place differential upside there. I think he's a fine play. So yeah, I think Truex is okay. Brad Keselowski starting 6th at 9,000. He has the 11th best average finish in the field here. He has the 4th best average finish at intermediates, 4th best at large ovals. He has the 12th best average position at Kentucky, 5th best at intermediates, 7th best at large ovals. All right, so the thing with Keselowski is these stats I don't think tell the whole story, because both the last 2 races at Kentucky, Keselowski's been like up in the front a good bit of the race, and he's had issues and has fallen back or wrecked, and it's cost him really good finishes. But he has won here in the past. This is a track he's succeeded at in the past. So I think Keselowski is a very, very solid option here. He's 41 laps led here in the last 2 years. I mean, it shows you he's been up front. So I think Keselowski's fine. The thing with Brad Keselowski is he's just never a big lap leader. But he is in a good starting spot in 6th, and I think he's someone to play because I think he has potential to win this thing and lead a bunch of laps. I'm not saying I think he's, again, less likely than some of the other guys, but the upside's there. The upside is there to play Brad Keselowski. I think he's fine in the last 5 races. Keselowski's been very consistent this year. Average finish 7.4 and an average position of 11.2, but he does only have 19 laps led in the last 5 races, and we were going to tracks that Keselowski's pretty good at. So, I'm not so sure how excited I really am to play him this week. He just seems like a safe play. Like, he just doesn't... I just don't see the upside hitting for Keselowski as much as I do for other guys. I think he's less likely to hit that upside. I'm not saying he can't, it just feels less likely. Up next, we have Jimmy Johnson at 8,800 on DraftKings, starting 20th. This one might be interesting. Johnson's never won here, one of the few tracks he's never won in NASCAR, and he has the 14th best average finish at Kentucky, but I mean that's only on 1 race because he did wreck. We're going to same thing about Byron. He did wreck out as well, and but Johnson has the 15th best average finish at intermediates and the 15th best at large ovals. He has the 15th best average position at Kentucky, 16th at intermediates, and 16th at large ovals. When it comes to laps led, Johnson only has 3 laps led at intermediates at Kentucky over the last few years, And in the last 5 races, Johnson has really not been running all that great. An average finish of 15.75, an average position of 17, and 70 laps led, which is that's good. But still, I just don't think. I mean, Johnson does have place differential upside, and he has top 10 upside, but I don't know, man. He's just a little too expensive, and I think I'd rather play William Byron, who I think is more of a chance. Has one cheaper, one more place differential spot, and I think has better chance to finish higher, just on the way he's been running this year. So, Byron's another guy who you can't really look at his stats from the past. I mean, he has one wreck here, but this year Byron's been running very well as of late. In the last 5 races, has an average finish of 9.5 and an average position of 12.75. 15 laps led. At Indianapolis last week, he was in first place, tire go down, and I mean, I know he wasn't like a dominator that race. It was pitch strategy that put him in that first place spot, but he was like a top 10 car all week, all race. He probably could have finished top 5 at the end of that. In the 2020, Byron's at the intermediate hasn't been great. Average finish of 13, average position of 15.66, but he has had fast cars in his races, has one of the fastest average green flag speeds there. So I think Byron's good. I wouldn't call him like a slam dunk play, but I think Erik Jones might end up being popular again. See, that's the thing. I'm really interested for ownership on Jones, Byron, and Reddick. Those 3 for me are just so contingent on how highly owned all 3 of them are for me really wanting to play them. And Jimmy Johnson, I guess, to an extent. Because I think they're all good plays, but whoever's going to come in more owned, I think I'm going to play less of, and whoever's coming in less, I'm going to play more of. So I really like those 3 guys, and I'll get into Jones and Reddick in a minute. But yeah, Byron looks good. He starts 21st. He has good place differential upside. Should be able to finish top 10, maybe top 5. Maybe get some fastest. He's been fast this year, so maybe rack up some fastest laps. So yeah, Erik Jones at 8,400 starting 16th. Erik Jones, he's hit or miss, man. He either finishes top 5 or he blows a freaking tire and wrecks. It's so frustrating in all honesty. I mean, because it's when he's not chalk for the most part that he does well, I have noticed. And I'm really interested to see if Erik Jones ends up being chalky today or this weekend. Because he starts 16th and he's 8,400. This is the most expensive he's been since quarantine, since we've come back from quarantine. And he also starts 16th, so it's not like he's starting in the 20s anymore where he's got a lot of place differential upside. But Kentucky's been a good track for him. He has the 3rd best average finish at Kentucky in the field. 3rd for Erik Jones at 8,600. He has the 9th best average finish at intermediates, 7th best at large ovals. He has the 9th best average position at Kentucky, 10th best at large intermediates, and 9th at large ovals. He's not someone who's going to lead any laps, but we don't really need that from him at that price. And in the last 5 races, Jones has average finish of 14.66 and an average position of 15.33. And let's see the 2020 intermediate stats for Jones: average finish of 13 and average finish of 10.5 at large ovals. But I'm just going to go back through the few races. Charlotte, Coke 600. Erik Jones is in the top 5 before a caution at the end, and he had a terrible pit stop and it blew that race. Atlanta had a top 10 car, had a tire go down. The second Charlotte race, he had a problem on pit road, sent him 2 laps down. He was another top 10 car. So these are just the examples of these type of tracks. Eric at Homestead Miami Speedway, he was in 6th place, tire go down at the very end. He just always has a tire issue. When he doesn't have a tire issue, he's great. And last year he finished 3rd at this race. So I know he has the ceiling here, and he always has the ceiling. He has the ceiling to win the whole freaking race. But is he going to hit it, or is he going to blow a flat tire? So I just really am interested on Erik Jones' ownership this week. I really hope people keep down, because he's just been burning people left and right every single week. And now he's expensive, and he starts 16th. He's not starting all the way in the back. So I think Erik Jones might actually end up being the guy to go to here, because I think maybe people are going to go to Byron starting 21st and Reddick starting 24th right around him, and Johnson too. So I'm hoping that's what people do when they don't play Erik Jones. But in my opinion, Erik Jones has the most likely chance to hit that ceiling out of all 4 of those drivers. So yeah, Tyler Reddick is up next. He's 8,200 starting 24th. Reddick is never racing Kentucky in the Cup Series, but he has the 11th best average finish at intermediates and 12th best at large ovals, 14th best average finish at intermediates and 12th best at large ovals. We know Reddick's been fast this year, was great at Miami. This is a track I think he should be pretty solid at. In the last 5 races, he does have an average finish of 9.33 and average position of 11.33. That's minus the Pocono races where he got caught up in an accident and then drive shaft. He was down 5 laps before the race even started. So, yeah, I think Reddick's an interesting play here. I think See, that's why I'm interested about ownership. See, because he starts farther back than those other guys, but I mean, they all realistically have about the same ceiling. I think Jones is a little bit higher, but realistically, they all have about the same ceiling. It can all sneak into the top 10 and largely pay out that salary. That's what you want from all of them. I mean, maybe all of them do when they're all guys need to play, but more than likely, I think one of those 4 is going to be in the optimal lineup this week, and 3 of them won't. So you just got to figure out which are the guys you want to play in that range. I do like all of them, though. I think they all have viable options. And then Matt Kensiv is another one that I think is viable just because of how he's run so far. Starts 17th and is 8,000. The last few races, Matt Kensiv's been great. I mean, he finished, second at Indy, and I think he had like a top 10 at Pocono, too. So, or I think he had 2 top 10s at both Pocono races. So Kensiv's been running really good. And I've always been like, I'm not playing Matt Kensiv. But now I might actually have some interest in Matt Kensiv just because of how he's been running as of late. Up next, we have Matt Benedetto, starting 10th at 7,800. I'm really not too interested here. I think he has potential to finish, I guess he can move up a few spots, but starting 10th is just not great for me. He does have an average finish of 11.8 in the last 5 and an average position of 11.2, so I kind of just expect him to hang around there. I just don't see the upside. At starting 10th, you kind of need him to finish inside, the top 5 almost, maybe even lead some laps, and I just don't think that's really viable for Matty D. He did have a good run at Pocono last week, though, or Indy last week, I will say that. Kurt Busch starting 7th. All right, Kurt Busch is really good here. Last 2 years is an average finish of 3.5, which ranks 2nd. He did win this race last year. If any of you remember that exciting win over his brother Kyle Busch. At intermediate tracks, he has the 8th best average finish and the 5th best at large ovals, 2nd best average position at Kentucky, 6th best at intermediates, and 5th best at large ovals. He has 86 laps led at Kentucky over the last 2 years. So, this is a track that Kurt Busch has just excelled at, and I'm really not scared about him starting 7th. He can finish top 5. He has lap led upside. He has winning upside. He's shown it. I'm not saying he's going to, but I think he's a good GPP play to have, and I don't think he's going to be that highly owned because he starts 7th place. In the last 5 races, Kurt Busch hasn't been running great. Average finish of 14 and average position of 13.4, but he does have 35 laps left at that Pocono race, so I think Kurt Busch is fine. I'm not saying he's a lock to play, but I think he's fine. Alex Bowman, man, as his season dropped off, he started out so good. Everything was going great, but the last few weeks have just been trash for Alex Bowman. And this is not a track where he's excelled at. 18th best average finish and 24th best average position. That's not good looks. We're going to go look at his last 5 races on the year. He has average finish of 15 and average position of 13.4. And we'll go look at the 2020 stats at the intermediates and large ovals where Bowman's numbers are better. Average finish of 10.5 and average position of 10.66. I know he can get up front and lead laps, but I just don't expect it, to be honest. I just don't think he's going to. He's fast here. He's been fast. He's been fast these 1.5s this year. I just don't see it. At that starting position, you need to lead laps or at least finish 5th, and I just don't expect that to happen. Maybe take a stab or two, and if you're doing 150 lineups, but for the most part, I don't really want him. Eric Almirola starting 4th. I was hoping he was going to be a little bit cheaper, to be honest. 7,300 is kind of expensive. He has 5 straight top 5s in the last 5 races. This is another guy that has been just driving a lot better recently. He has, I believe, the best average finish in the last 5 races. Yeah, average finish of 4th. And he has an average position of 10th, and he has 84 laps led in the last 5 races. So Eric Almirola has been running really well. I just don't really expect him to get up front and lead laps, but I can totally see him finishing in top 5 again. I think it's worth, like Bowman, having some. I'm higher on Almirola than I am on Bowman because I think it's more likely Almirola finishes where he starts than Bowman does, and if he does, that's going to be a great day for him. But I don't know. I think they're both just thin. They're thin plays. They're solid plays, but they're thin plays. Next, we have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting 14th. Ricky, I'm actually a little more interested in than I thought I would be. He doesn't have the best numbers here, 19th best average finish here, and 19th at intermediates and 21st at large ovals. But he does have the 10th best average position at Kentucky. So I think that shows that he's runs better than he finishes. I mean, if we remember last year, there was a restart at the very end that jumbled up a lot of the finishing spots. He also has 21 laps led at Kentucky over the last 2 years. So, I mean, there's a little bit of, upside to lead laps. In the last 5 races, Stenhouse hasn't been running fantastic at all. 18.25 average finish, 18.5 average position. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr., in 2020, he does have the 12th best average finish at the intermediate, or average finish of 12 at the intermediates, and average finish of 15.25 at the large ovals. So, and if you recall at Charlotte too, Ricky Stenhouse, I believe, finished 3rd or 4th place. So, I mean, he's shown some speed this year at times. So, I think he has the upside to get up there and like have a good finish. I think he's going to be very low owned. So, if there's a guy I want to take a stab on, I think he's a good one to take a stab on. Bubba Wallace starting 18th at 7,000. Another driver where we look at his past years as much just because he's been running better this year. Average finish of 15, average position of 16.6, and yeah, that's kind of what I expect from him. I mean, I guess he could find a way to sneak him in the top 10, but I'm really just not expecting that too much. I expect him to finish around where he started, maybe move up like 3 or 4 spots. That's just not really what you want, especially when Cole Custer's 100 less starting 29th. He has 26th best average finish at intermediate tracks and 22nd at large ovals, which isn't fantastic. 25th best at intermediate, 23rd at large ovals. But in the last 5 races, Cole Custer was running well. An average finish of 17.8 and an average position of 19.4. I like that a lot. I think Custer can move up about 10 spots in this race, get a top 20, which could be very valuable at his price. This year in the 2020 at the intermediate tracks, he has an average finish of 15.4 and an average finish at the large ovals of 16.75. So I think Cole Custer is a viable option this week. He's not like a slam dunk play. He's a little more expensive than he's been recently, but I still think he can get a top 20 out of this race. Ty Dillon starts 33rd, and I'm just at 6,700. I'm still just really not interested in playing him. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 22.6 and an average position of 23.2. But one of those is skewed by that Indy race where everyone wrecked, and I think he finished inside the top 10. I just don't expect that to happen again. I mean, he's okay. He has an average finish of 27.5 here and an average position of 26.5. But see, that's like when I'm expecting him to move at like 5 or 6 spots. And it's just really not worth it. Next we have Austin Dillon at 6,500. And every week I say Austin Dillon's a low-end guy that could pay off, and he never does. So probably not going to pay off this week either. He hasn't really been good here. The 23rd best average finish at Kentucky and the 20th best at average position at Kentucky. No laps led, none of that. In the last 5 races, Dillon has been running particularly great, an average finish of 14.5 and an average position of 14.25. But at the this year though, he has been running good at the intermediate tracks. Average finish at 9.7 and average finish at 14.25 at the large ovals. So I think Dillon has the upside. I just don't feel how likely it is he's going to hit it. But I would rather play him than Ty Dillon. I'd rather play him than Flores. So I mean, I just don't expect Austin Dillon to like absolutely smash that ceiling here. So I expect him to finish like 15th, which is fine. But if he gets inside that top 10, he's going to be a very good play. So I think it's worth playing some Austin Dillon, as I always think it is worth playing some Austin Dillon because I know he has that ceiling of a top 10 finish. But I just don't know how likely it really is. And I don't know if you're playing like 1 or 2 lineups or 3 match something. I don't know. I'd rather just play like Custer and Priest, who I know is starting to back. But Austin Dillon's fine. If you're playing tournaments, I'd want to play some Austin Dillon. All right, Ryan Preece starts 32nd. I expect him to be the chalk again. He's chalk last week, and he finished dead last, so that sucked. I cannot believe that pit road crash happened, man. That's absolutely insane. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It was a terror. That race sucked. That was the worst race of the year for me by far. It's just every driver I picked wrecked, except for Harvick. So it was just a disaster. Ryan Preece starts 32nd. He has a 22nd best average finish here, 28th at the intermediates, 27th at large ovals, 21st best average position here, 26th at intermediates, and 26th at large ovals. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 23.75 and an average position of 20.75. So that's kind of what we're going for. We're going for Ryan Preece to jump up 10 spots, and I think he can do that. I think he totally can do that. Maybe he can sneak inside the top 20, so I think he's a good play. I don't think people are not going to play him because of last week because they burned him. If they know what happened, Ryan Preece didn't burn him. Everyone else burned him. So I expect him to be pretty popular, but I mean, it's for good reason. Next, we have Ryan Newman, which may actually end up being a better GBP play than Preece. He starts 23rd, finally like farther back in the field. He has the 16th best average finish at Kentucky, 18th best at intermediates, 20th at large ovals, 16th best average position at Kentucky, 18th at intermediates, and 20th at large ovals. He's not someone who's probably going to lead laps. I mean, he does have 15 at Kentucky over the last 2 years, but I'm still not really expecting him to lead a ton of laps. In the last 5 races, though, Ryan Newman has an average finish of 15th and an average position of 14th. So I think Newman's actually kind of interesting here. If he's 6,100, so a top 15 might actually end up being like a really great play. And he, of course, it's Ryan Newman, has top 10 upside. Like, that's there for him. So I think Newman might end up being a very good play. as might Chris Buescher's teammate. 5,900 starting 13th. Chris Buescher has the 7th best average finish at Kentucky. That's, surprising, and it's in worse equipment than past. He's in better equipment now. He hasn't performed well this year, but in the last 5 races, he's been performing better. An average finish of 15.33 and an average position of 14.66. So I think Chris Buescher could end up just hanging around 13th, maybe move up a spot or two, and he could end up being an absolutely great play. So I do like Chris Buescher down here. But I think Michael McDowell is my favorite one. DraftKings hates him. I don't know why he's 5,700 still. He's starting 30th. It's not like he's starting 20th. Like, that'd be one thing, but starting 30th for Michael McDowell, I don't even care about stats too much from as in the past 2 years. But in the last 5 races, minus the wreck at Pocono, Michael McDowell has an average finish of 11. 11 for Michael McDowell. It's crazy. And he has an average position of 17. I expect him, I think everyone who makes DraftKings content for NASCAR is going to be talking to Michael McDowell this week. So he's going to be popular, but you just can't get away from that. He's just been running so freaking well. It's like the best he's run in his entire career, to be honest. And I want to go back to it. I just really want to go back to it. Corey LaJoie starting 27th. Yeah, he can move up a little bit. Same with John Hunter Nemechek. LaJoie's last 5 races, average finish is 22.75, and John Hunter Nemechek at 20.4. So that's sort of what I expect him to do, is to just kind of hang around there. So, I'm not really interested in playing them. I'd rather just play McDowell, Buescher, and Newman, to be honest, and Parise. So I hope you guys got some good that's really all I got to say. So I hope you guys got some good content from here, some good value out of this. If you enjoyed my video, make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, stay around here. I'm going to keep doing videos for NASCAR. I'm going to keep doing videos for more sports when they come back. Make sure to leave a comment. Let me know how you thought the video went. Did you enjoy it? Would I do good? Would I do bad? Turn on notification bell. All those things really, really help me out. Thank you so much for being here today. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys win some money this weekend on all 3 races. Make sure to check out my other videos on the other races. Thank you guys so much.